Brandon Moreno is the strange case of a two-time UFC champion who just doesn't have a solid lock on a Hall of Fame career yet, at least. He has no title defenses to his name, but he is fighting a prospect, Amir Albazi, a dude who a lot of people have been really high about, but who has had some injuries that have set him back. So you have a prospect versus a man who's trying to more or less lock up a Hall of Fame career and get the belt back. This is where that collision leads to the future of what this division is going to be. Folks, breaking it down with me, as always, my co-host, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native, AJ, UFC Edmonton. We're going to Canada to figure out what the future of the flyweight division is going to be. We found out last week about the featherweight division, and we know the lower you get down in the weight classes, the more skilled it's going to get. Generational talents, fantastic prospects. We got it all. How you feeling, brother?
This is an interesting card, Derek. I mean, to the casuals, right? Nobody's too excited about this one, but there's some heavy hitters on this card going forward. And like you said, a moment for somebody to come in with Albazi and actually solidify himself back in, or with Moreno to get that spot that I feel like he deserves. It's a very, very fun weekend we have ahead of us.
Absolutely. As we have been seeing as of late, some of the bigger names, right? The people who we hold near and dear to our heart, that some of them aren't getting it done, man. So we can't lie on emotions. All we can lie on is statistics, watching some film, and of course, making you guys a ton of money. And that's what the game plan is gonna be, I should say. AJ, we got to take a look back. Let's take a step back real fast and let's assess UFC 308, which is going to be a sore spot in a lot of people's hearts just for a couple of the names that you see right here. But there's one in red that we have that could have got, I mean, it was one stop away from a full tilt 4-0, man. 3-1 on the consensus picks. We'd love to see it, but the Blessed Express couldn't get it done. Just give me your thoughts, AJ. Talk to me.
Man, it was a very exciting card all weekend, Derek. And like I said, this one hurt from the heart, brother. I mean, the power of Topuria is absolutely crazy. I've never seen Max even look like that. He got stuck, right? Yeah. And then as well with the Shara, I was happy he came in, but I was a little worried for a second, brother. There was a worrisome weekend all around, kept us on the edge of our seat.
That's it. So just to kind of spell it out for you guys, AJ, he does win the week 4-1 on his picks. I went 3-2. You got the contentious pick in Shara Magomedov over Armin Petrosian, which, bruh, double spinning back fist. You gotta love to see it, man. That's just creativity at its fullest. But again, right here, we're talking about the gold. This is what we care about. 3-1 on the consensus picks. We did hit a parlay and we did hit a prop. So Rebetsky and Oral Buy over 2.5 rounds. Yeah, lock it in, AJ. I gotta love to see that one. You gotta give me some slack. I'm gonna give myself some slack on this one. RDA blows his knee out in the first round in the fight against Jeff Neal. Yeah, you got dropped, but I mean, I just feel like we ended before we can get going. So I'm gonna take a mulligan on that one. Fakhretdinov, Murphy, money line, -103. It was chalk, but we hit it. Pretty basic stuff right here, man. Bruno Silva and Jeff Neal, money line right there. We came close, but the Bruno Silva one, that one was off by a mile, man. So final thoughts on this, and we'll keep it pushing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Derek lost the parlay on the Silva pick because he was being lackadaisical. Other than that, pretty much how we called it, besides the weird things that happened in the fights, man. An interesting week, still hoping we made y'all some cash.
That's it. And now we're going to go from hoping to knowing right here. It's time to take a look forward. We're going to be looking at UFC Edmonton. This is the bet sheet, brother. Let's break it down. Consensus picks first, as always. We got a lot of them here. 6 fights, 5 consensus picks. Brandon Moreno, which was a little bit of a surprise, AJ, because now when I'm seeing consensus main events, I'm taking a step back here. I'm starting to think, but Brandon Moreno, Aaron Blanchfield, Machado, Barriault, Mike Malott. We got some fun ones here. As always, give us the theme of our consensus picks.
Theme this week, Derek, is momentum, and all these fighters have it going into it. If they can continue that momentum into the fights this weekend, they'll be able to come out the victor.
Interestingly enough, though, right? Because 2 of those people right here, many more actually, right? But Moreno and Blanchfield, noticeably big names coming off of losses who are trying to get back. So we need to get back on the winning streak. We feel good about it this week. AJ, prop lock, talk to the people. What do you got?
Woo, prop lock, folks. We're going with Lewis versus Diniz over 1.5, right? It's plus money, and I know heavyweight at an over. Quite shocking, but if you look at the data of how the fight's been going, the unders have not been hitting, right? That in combination with the speed and the power that Diniz presents, I think is going to have Lewis taking a slower approach to this one, staying safe, bringing it past that 7.5 minutes, cashing in, right? Plus 105 money right here.
That's sneaky. That's sneaky and a good line. So you want to cash that sooner rather than later. Like while you're watching this, just go cash it really quickly and then come back, watch the rest of the video. All right, I got a good one for you right here. Mike Malott, man. He's coming off of a cardio loss, folks. Let's not forget it. You lost to Neil Magny, but the man has all the tools to fight a very experienced Trevin Giles right here, and that's why we're taking the over 1.5. I think Mike Malott might have a little bit of a mental fortitude thing he's going to have to get on over in this fight, and Trevin Giles, he's not an easy out ever. So over 1.5 rounds, minus 137 right here. I like the number right here. I think that could have been way heavier. So those are your prop locks, folks. Lock it in. You already know, but we got some parlays for you too. AJ, Malott, De Silva, money line. Clarify for the folks. Who is De Silva?
Ooh, Ariane Lipski is her former name. Ariane De Silva, the queen of violence. That's who we're talking about right here, folks. And yeah, I'm partnering with Mike Malott, man. You look at De Silva, right? She's fighting Jasudavicius, who struggled a little bit with the fast and powerful strikers, who is De Silva. And then now, with De Silva in the midst of what would be a resurgence with the new last name even, has a really, really good shot at cashing in as a dog. You partnered that with Malott, who already has a dub, at least in wrestling, on Trevin Giles. We'll talk more about it. Well-rounded, seemingly this is the fight for him to win.
There we go. I like the parlay. One more. Marc-Andre Barriault, the power bar, and Yusuf Zalal parlay them together plus 120, which I thought realistically this could have been like a minus money type situation parlaying, So get them in that plus money. I love to see it. I'm happy about it. Those are the UFC Edmonton bet sheets right there through and through, folks. Lock it in. But you know what time it is now? It's time to do a main card breakdown. Let's mince no words. Let's get straight to it.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, folks, if you're new to the program, let me take just a quick moment to explain to you what it is we're going to accomplish here. If you're a returning viewer, then just buckle up and get ready for the ride. Folks, we're breaking down the main card, everything from the main event all the way to the opening bout. What you have to look forward after that are not only going to be props, fun plays, parlay, all the fun stuff, right? We got a couple bonus plays, we got some sleepers, and then we got some news and notes following this section of the program. So tune in. If you're not subscribed, absolutely. And if you're listening to this and not watching, rate us 5 stars. You're already on the app, might as well. All right, AJ, let's talk to the people, man. Bringing it up. First one's first. Brandon Moreno, Amir Albazi. You got a former champion, a 2-time champion, Brandon Moreno, who at this point, man, I mean, Amir Albazi is a guy who a lot of people were saying this guy deserves the next shot. You guys keep fighting the same 4 or 5 people over and over again at 125. Let's mix it up. But what happened here, AJ? Actually, something really interesting that we need to talk about. AJ, question. You heard about some of the health stuff going on with Amir Albazi, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so some of the health stuff includes a heart surgery that was taken care of, but following the heart surgery was a neck injury, a spine injury. Give me a quick second to just solo out and talk to the people about what it is that we have found here. So Amir Albazi, he did open up on his fight hiatus and his injuries, and after defeating Kai Kara-France, who was already supposed to fight Brandon Moreno, right? Like this fight was already supposed to take place, but he had to pull out. So instead of fighting in Mexico City, he had to say, well, listen, man, I kept training for that fight and my left arm literally stopped, man. Like I couldn't lift my arm up. I couldn't jab. I couldn't do anything, but I still kept training. After I got my first MRI, doctor said you shouldn't be fighting anymore. Find a 9 to 5. Your career is over. Could you imagine, people? You're this close to getting a title shot, to fulfilling your dreams. And the doctor tells you it's a wrap, buddy, no more. So what did he do? He kept going to different doctors, and when the UFC doctors found out, they literally pulled me out of the fight against Brandon Moreno, and he went straight into surgery. They told me I was 1 punch away from getting paralyzed. So after that surgery, here I am. It's the longest break of my career. Now, AJ, let me switch us back so we can get to the right spot. That's a little alarming, right? Like that's not a good thing that you want to open up on prior to your fight against this 2-time champion who's looking to be hungry and get back in the win column. So we needed to start off there. What do you make of this matchup with that knowledge now in the forefront of your mind?
With that knowledge, Derick, what worries me is the volume that Moreno's able to put into these fights, right? He has a very high volume, very fast style of fighter. And with the style that we've seen Amir Albazi take in the past, right? Forward pressure, just kind of a straight line, going to close the gap on you. Moreno is very, very good at piecing those kind of things up. But I mean, as far as health concerns, as long as he's back, checked out, everything's going good, I'm sure he's fine. But it's not something you'd like to hear if that's your fighter going into this one. You can't lift your left hand. You're 1 punch away from like, oh man, sounds crazy.
Yeah. And the reason I asked you is specifically that, right? You watch the tape and all that good stuff. Obviously, we're never going to know what version of Amir Albazi shows up until Amir Albazi shows up. But I think that impacts the line. So I was actually surprised. When I started breaking down this, I thought Albazi was the favorite and Moreno was a dog. And I was a genius being like, Moreno at dog odds with the volume that he's going to put up, just like you mentioned. bro, this is a home run. What are we talking about? And then I looked at the odds and I saw, oh wait, no, Brandon Moreno opened as a minus 150 favorite, and he's currently tracking minus 175, plus 145 for Amir Albazi. So before we jump further into those numbers, let's dive a little bit deeper into the styles, right? Albazi, he's a grappler with big power who's going to look to push you up against the fence and either come in on a single leg or find the body lock, take your back, and we'll just kind of see what happens from there. But that low output over the course of 5 rounds can easily lose him a fight. What did you think of the Kai Kara-France fight? Low output. He did get to his grappling spots, but he won the fight, man, and he won via decision. He got outstruck pretty handily in that one. What'd you make of it?
What I took away from that, Derek, it seemed to be the old school style of scoring we were seeing, a year, 2 years ago, I forget the date of the fight, but this, when control and pressure was winning the fights, that's how he was able to get that decision. But this is a new day, Derek. We've seen how the scoring has changed more towards damage and violence, and with the pressure that's going to be put, man, it makes a big asterisk for Albazi. The thing I like about it, though, is when he does get to his position, he's powerful enough and strong enough on that top position to keep it and hold people there. And that's going to be a really good thing if he's not damaged up too much on the feet.
100%. And you read my mind right there. I think this matchup is as simple as it comes down to if Amir Albazi lands the takedown, and he has taken down every opponent in the UFC thus far, he's 5-0 in that span, then I think that Brandon Moreno is going to just have to be urgent, get back up to his feet, and try to avoid getting landed on in those ground and pound type situations. But that's the thing. Amir Albazi isn't very active in ground and pound. It's just kind of control, look for the submission, things of that nature. So, all right, looking at numbers, I don't want to say decision is a surefire shot at 125 pounds between these two types of fighters, but I feel like it's going to trend that way more than it is anything else. Plus 155 decision for Brandon Moreno, plus 155 for Albazi. With the scoring that you just mentioned, Brandon Moreno has to be favored at plus 155. You have to love that play, right?
Absolutely. That seems like the play with the most juice. I really don't see a finish coming, right? Unless it's a TKO from the Moreno side with just a crazy ground and pound, but it doesn't make sense to me. I like that plus 155 odd.
What about just the strength of schedule, man? Do you think Amir Albazi poses as much of a threat as the media portrays him to be? Because in my mind, he was this really scary dude who was the dark horse of the flyweight division until I watched tape and I was like, all right, there's past the victory here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Derek. Is he a solid and very strong fighter? Absolutely, right? Dominating. If you let Amir Albazi stand there and work that straight line and crush that pressure and get you to the fence and take you down, you're going to have a long night. But a lot of the time we're seeing long nights don't always equal wins for those people, right? If you're able to get the damage going, things change in the fight. I don't see the speed, or I see the speed and the movement, especially the foot and the head movement, that unorthodox striking that Moreno presents. I see that being a very big problem on getting this fight to where Albazi wants it to be.
And ultimately, folks, let's see, right? It depends on the version of Moreno that shows up, because that version of Moreno against Brandon Royval gassed out over 3 rounds, but Royval is also a dude with nonstop pressure, nonstop something in your face, giving you something to think about. Amir Albazi is going to plot, right? He's going to be kind of that plotting flyweight who just tries to walk you down. So just remember this. Brandon Moreno, he's fought 4 guys 8 times in the last 4 years, but all high level of competition. Brandon Royval, Alexandre Pantoja, Davison Figueiredo, and Kai Kara-France. The best victory that Amir Albazi has, in my opinion, is the Kai Kara-France in his last 5, but he also has a big win over Alessandro Costa. He fought Francisco Figueiredo, Zalga Zumagulov, and Malcolm Gordon, and 2 of those dudes aren't in the UFC. 3 of those guys actually might not be in the UFC anymore. Brandon Moreno, decision play at plus 155. Are you taking that prop play all day, or are you taking him at minus 175 money line and calling it?
I'm taking that prop play all day, Derek. I think that's going to be the most likely outcome for this fight.
And that is your consensus pick for the main event, baby. Let's go. Brandon Moreno in Canada, and may the odds ever be in your favor. Now to the co-main. This is the fight right here, folks. That's not the main event, but probably has the most juice on it in total, because this has high implications. Cold-blooded Aaron Blanchfield looking to bounce back against Rose Namajunas. And AJ, when you're looking at this fight right here, you gotta like Rose in the sense of just beat Amanda Hebos, who was a tweener between 115 and 125. Just beat Tracy Cortez. Fantastic victory. You punched her eyelash off. It was hilarious, all that, right? But we're here for the fights, and we're here to talk about Rose Namajunas opening up as a minus 110 kind of dog. It was pretty much even money, but currently tracking at plus 110. Rose Namajunas is an underdog against Aaron Blanchfield, and a lot of people are freaking out and saying that this is free money. I have a little bit of a different opinion, but I want to know what you think.
I have a little bit of a different opinion, Derek. And folks, if you're a fan of the show, you know I love Thug Rose. I've loved her since day one. She's an amazing fighter, right? Strong, or at least develops strong mental game, but always has the hands, always down to fight, and an amazing jiu-jitsu practitioner. She has all the tools to get it done. I just think Blanchfield is on such a tear right now, right? And the things that she can do and the space that she creates and then also hits on. Blanchfield has all the intangibles that Rose does, but it seems like it's just her time right now, unfortunately.
See, here's the thing about Erin Blanchfield that makes it kind of hard to pick after watching film is I think that athletically doesn't pop off the page, right? Like athletically. But it's weird when you look at the numbers, because you look at the numbers here. Let me go ahead. Let me just pull it up on the big screen real quick, because it's actually surprising, man. Erin Blanchfield, look at the significant strikes. 5.5 significant strikes landed per minute to 3.7 for Rose, man. It's like she's a high volume striker, but and you see it, right? She's always popping it out right there, but everyone thinks of her as just this grappler, right? Just this like thudding grappler. Now, the success that she did not have against Manon Fiorot, you can't be mad at, man, because Fiorot is monster. Like she's a huge in that division, just in terms of like size and strength, right? Does she have the grappling chops that Rose Namajunas has? No, it's not quite the same thing, but Erin Blanchfield still wasn't really able to realize that same success. I have one big issue here with Rose Namajunas in this type of matchup. I just think Rose is small, bro. It's as simple as that. I just think she's small for the division, and if Blanchfield can work her way in to get to a body lock, take her down, I think it's going to be kind of similar to, did you watch Jillian Robertson versus Rose Namajunas when they had a grappling match?
The strictly grappling match? No, I didn't check it.
Yeah, man, it was at Fury Pro Grappling 6 1 year ago, and she got rear naked choked in less than 2 minutes. Robertson just kind of manhandled her, which it's a jiu-jitsu. It's not a fight. It's jiu-jitsu, right? But the point is if Erin Blanchfield can find her spot, I feel confident. What did we say last week with Hamzat Chimaev? We trust him to get to his spot. I trust Erin Blanchfield to get to her spot. So let's talk about the numbers right here. Again, she's a minus 130 favorite, plus 110 dog for Rose Namajunas, and a submission prop is plus 500 for Erin Blanchfield. You have to remember, though, Rose Namajunas in her 16-fight UFC career has only been submitted once. So what do you think of that prop?
That's where I was looking at, Derek. I think one of the biggest ways to victory for Blanchfield in this is going to be a very slick submission right off the jump, right? Round one, round two, something that's going crazy. She's able to put the pressure on Rose, get her to the ground, find something that's quick and get it out of there fast, right? That's why I like that plus 500 odds. And especially if we're seeing the more concerned, right? I don't want to say lackadaisical, but cautious Rose Namajunas that's trying to read things. That gives more momentum to Erin Blanchfield to be able to crush that downhill roller coaster and get this fight to where she needs it to be.
What do you say to the people who, when they talk about Erin Blanchfield, they think that she hasn't really beat anybody of note in the flyweight division? What do you say to those people?
That's wild. That's absolutely crazy, Derek. I mean, look at the last, what was it? Not her last fight of Manon Fiorot, but Tyler Santos, right? Jessica Andrade, Molly McCann, even JJ Aldrich. Like those names, you might scoff at a couple of them, but even, man, Molly McCann, when she was on the tear right there, she beat her. Same thing with Jessica Andrade, always a contender. Tyler Santos, we were talking about her being a contender here in the near future. Like these are absolute studs in the 125-pound division.
You know, I'm going to push back here. I love your answer because I agree with you in sentiment, but I'm going to push back because I think it's fair to wipe off the Molly McCann fight, right? Like it was a big win in name, but let's be real, bro. You know, she's a brawler, right? She's not a grappler. Like she was in her wheelhouse for that one. Jessica Andrade, I thought that was a huge win right there, but she's a tweener too. So it's not like solidified a 125 big win. Tyler Santos, though, you can't argue with that one. That win is, I mean, and it was controversial, right? That was a controversial win, but she got the victory, and I think that's big time right there. You can't argue with the what would you say, the strength of schedule of Rose Namajunas. You can't even compare those. It's two completely different stratospheres right there. But I think it's as simple as this, man. Blanchfield, if she can keep up the volume and she can get to her spot and get the fight to the ground, she lands on average 2 takedowns per fight. I think she wins the fight right there. So if we're not looking at that plus 500 submission prop, do you think you feel confident enough to go plus 125 decision for Erin Blanchfield, or do you just take the money line right now, which is a fair price to pay, man? Minus 130 against Rose Namajunas. Do you take it?
I would take the money line on this one, Derek, with the multiple ways that Blanchfield can get this done. I see also the foot movement that Blanchfield has, where she's able to cut angles, being a hard puzzle to solve in the moment. So that could either lead to more takedowns or it could lead to a longer style of fight. We'll see how it unfolds. I like the money line.
All right, fair play. Erin Blanchfield, that is the play right here. If you do like Rose, I'm not going to be mad at you guys for hedging a little bit. Rose at plus money is something where you could take the hedge, but we're here to win money, not to hedge and, you know what I mean, kind of How would you even say that, AJ? You don't lose, but you nullify your winnings right there. We don't do that, right? We're efficient.
It's like tying in sports. We're not here for the tie, folks.
Yes.
We're here to cash in checks all day long.
That's it, baby. Let's go. All right, my man. A few words, but they are well said. All right, AJ. Next up, the Black Beast, Derick Lewis versus Jonathan Diniz. Man, listen, we've come to the day where Derick Lewis is now at this stage of his career. He's a plus 130 dog at open. You're tracking it right now, plus 140. Minus 170 for Diniz currently. So the odds have kind of gone back and forth a little bit, but this is it. He's number 11 in the heavyweight division. This man can continue to fight. He's 39 years old. I was going to say he can keep fighting until he's 42, 43. That's only a couple of years. He's going to fight longer than that, I'm sure. But you're fighting for your rank at this point, and you're fighting for your relevancy. And in his interview, his pre-fight interview, he's saying, "I'm going to clean my act up." How many times have we heard this from Derick Lewis? Who knows if it's going to happen? But you got a hybrid type guy in front of you right now. Diniz is good, man. He's fast, big power, can do a little bit of grappling, good footwork. He's not your traditional Derick Lewis era heavyweight. So my question to you right here is, are you disrespected at the line that was thrown out? And is this free money on Derick Lewis right here at these plus odds? Or does he have a real fist fighting coming?
No, he has a real fist fight coming. Diniz is an absolute savage in there, Derek. I like what you said, especially because he stays planted, but still has all those athletic abilities, right? He's more of that kind of plod you down, walk you down, but then he's also able to transition. And when he strikes, it's fast. He's able to cut angles, good head movement. Like Diniz has a lot of the tools that we've seen in the smaller weight classes, but with the power of a heavyweight, right? And sure, Derick Lewis, I mean, one touch power. He just has the fucking and get up style of jiu-jitsu. Like this guy is the Black Beast for a reason. He's a beast, right? An amoeba, and what's the word? I'm forgetting. Either way, he's an anomaly in the heavyweight division because what he's able to do for so long. But Diniz has that new style that we've seen, and a lot of the times that's starting to really take over in MMA.
Yeah, man, not just take over. It's almost like a prerequisite at this point. You have to be this skillful. When we saw Cyril Gane come in, and he's kind of undersized at heavyweight, but to have the ability to, I mean, maybe not grappling, right? But just to be able to move in a way that is unorthodox and not plodding, it was like revolutionary, right? That's the standard now. And Derick Lewis has that one-shot power. So I have to talk to you about, before we break down the rest of the fight, plus 175 TKO prop for Derick Lewis. That is something that's going to pop up a little bit later in the program that we'll talk about. Just tell me, brother, you got to give me a yes or a no. What do you think?
Yes. All day, yes.
Come on. I feel like you have, and what did I just say? We don't hedge, we don't tie, we want to win and not tie or whatever. But like, dog, I can't pass that up. You can't pass it up. Derick Lewis plus 175 TKO when you know. What other path to victory is there? What other path? AJ, talk to me. What other path does Derick Lewis have to winning this fight?
He could win this fight by decision, Derek, if he's able to nullify the attack that's going to be coming against him, right? Like, able to show Diniz that he's been here all day long, right? If you're sitting there, Diniz is swinging on him and it's not doing anything, where have you seen the power of other people affect Derick Lewis? It breaks him down a little bit mentally. Derick can work the kicking game, kind of keep him at bay, right? Get up off the takedowns, control and show that he is the veteran in that octagon. We could see a decision happening, but man, I like that plus 175 though.
Yeah, man, that is very well explained. Listen, at the end of the day, Derick Lewis right now is in a spot where everything matters here, right? You have to bank these wins and you have to get these good wins, and you can't keep losing because you will no longer be in this company anymore. We're starting to see they're making the real cuts right here. So Diniz appears to be the play. I got to ask you though, do you take him at minus 170? Is that a fair price?
If I'm betting on Diniz, minus 170 against Derick Lewis, that doesn't sound good to me. I wouldn't take it. I'd bet, I was going to say I'd take a prop maybe if I'm betting on Diniz, but minus 120 for the TKO. I see a submission happening before that, and that's plus 2,500. That's crazy.
Yeah. And just to make it clear for those who weren't watching the earlier part of the program, this is a contentious pick. AJ's rolling with the Black Beast, Derick Lewis, at plus money, which is fantastic, right? And I'm rocking with Diniz as just the hybrid who is going to be the new style. So we'll see what happens right here. But just remember this, more than anything else. Biggest wins for Diniz right now, Carl Williams out of the UFC, Austin Lane. We know what Austin Lane's career has been thus far. Derick Lewis is not even in the same stratosphere as those guys, man. This is going to be the toughest test of his career, in my opinion. It's just a matter of how much grappling is going to take place. And if you let Derick Lewis get to his game, it's like dancing in a minefield, and you got to be careful there. So I like Diniz. AJ likes Lewis, contentious pick, and that's what you got right there, folks. Moving on down. We've reached the point in the program where I started watching a little bit of film, and I saw, okay, we've reached this section of the roster where you got to get a couple fights in. Combined, these guys are 0-4 in the UFC, have yet to find victory, but they came off some pretty extensive careers. I mean, Caio Machado was like a 3-time defending champion in his regional promotion. Bredson Ribeiro, this dude was legit, a lot of finishes and all that good stuff, but now they clash, and I thought it was interesting just how they determined a price on this fight in terms of like who's the favorite and who's the dog. If you're looking at Ribeiro, what you're going to see is that 8 of his 9 career fights have ended inside of the distance, right? So scary guy, but he still opened up as a plus dog at plus 140, and he's currently tracking AJ plus 125. Oh, the line is creeping. I knew it would because I just thought that this was a really weird fight to just handicap. So I need to know what pops off the page to you, and do you think that Caio Machado has even done enough to become a minus 150 favorite in this, what appears to me to be kind of an even fight?
Yeah, it's interesting, Derek, because when I'm breaking down film, right, I'm not looking at the odds yet. I'm kind of seeing what people are doing, their tendencies, their traits, how they like to fight. And then when I'm ready, I'll go and look at the odds and see how they're actually broken down. I was expecting kind of an even money across the board. I didn't know who was going to be the favorite in this one. What pops off the page to me, though, for the Machado, very fast, good head movement. He's down to trade as well. And in this kind of style of fight, he needs to be able to do that to find his moments, but not get lost in the gas tank, man. When he has those gas tank issues, hands start to drop, pace starts to slow. He still has the blitz, but it's a lot less effective. Now you go into Ribeiro, great grappling, powerful strikes, solid low kicks. He has all the intangibles, but again, he lacks that natural power that he seems to just get out muscled in fights. So it's weird to kind of see how these two are going to clash because they have, on paper, they have all the great kind of same scale stats, but going forward, how they're actually going to put those into motion against each other is a little hard to predict.
And that's what I kind of felt as well. I thought that Ribeiro has to go out and get a finish early, and if he doesn't, I think Machado is just an in-your-face type of fighter who can just win off of pure aggressiveness and pace, right? Like, that's the way that I kind of broke it down. All I wrote down on my notes was he's a high-volume striker for the weight class, and he's got 6 first-round finishes. That's really all that I got right here, man. He's been taken down. You can definitely take him down, and Ribeiro is going to try to probably jump a guillotine or do some type of choke, but if, like, you don't get the early finish, I just think Machado overwhelms him, and I didn't have a lot else to say on this other than when I watched the Barriault fight, yeah, you got a little bit of size issues, even though if you look at him, man, this dude is huge. What, 6'3", 81-inch reach? But just because you're tall doesn't mean you're as big frame-wise, if that makes sense. And that's where the disparity comes. Any props that you would like to see on this matchup right here, man? Because I think moneyline is fair enough right here, but does this fight end in a finish? And if it does, what are you leaning? Machado, Ribeiro, just for a juicier prop line?
Juicier prop line, Derek. I think if this is going to hit, or the TKO for Machado at plus 215, that seems to be the way for me, especially the longer this fight goes and he's able to dominate. I see that happening. And then that plus 550 submission. If this goes the opposite way, this one ends quick. Ribeiro has the skill and the athleticism to be able to lock something up. That plus 550 is juice right there.
Yeah. Fair play right there, man. I don't know. I don't have a lot on this one, folks, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. I just think that this is an even-ish fight, and you got to take the lean on Machado, but we'll definitely see. It's like Ribeiro seems to me to be the dude who has like flashier skills, but that's not what matters in a fist fight, right? In a matter of a fist fight is who's going to walk forward, bite down on the mouthpiece, and start chunking him, and I think that's Machado. So that's the play right there. I would take him as is, minus 150. That's even too high of a price to pay, but for the pick, we're going Machado, and that's that. All right. Next up, AJ, the power bar. Marc-Andre Barriault versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Again, another matchup, AJ, where I looked at it and I was like, all right, you got a couple guys coming off of losses, both of these guys right here, 2 in a row for Barriault, 1 for Stoltzfus. But Stoltzfus has flashes, man. I mean, Barriault does too, but Stoltzfus has flashes where you're like, yo, this dude, he can get it. And then you find yourself in a fight like he did in the last one against Bruno Ferreira, where you're like, bro, you were winning, and then you suddenly and quickly were not. But AJ, I have something that I need to share here from Dustin Stoltzfus, and I'll see if I can put this, overlay it on the page while I'm reading it off. But let me solo out and just read it here, and I want your take on it after. So a lot of people forget about this, but Dustin Stoltzfus, he was not okay after that Bruno Ferreira knockout, man. It was one of those, you're too tough for your own good, so the referee stops it because it's a standing TKO. You just won't go down. That's how much heart Dustin Stoltzfus has. Respect. But this is a Instagram post that he put up shortly after the fight. He says, "Not much to say here. I strayed from the game plan at the end of the round. I feel like a fraud. I'm better than this, and I owe it to the amazing people who support me to do better. That being said, there's only so many spinning elbows to the face even my big old head can take." That being said, I've got a lot of healing to do. My face is fractured and I have some significant nerve damage. I don't know when I'll be back to training, yet alone fighting. Thankfully, the great people at the UFC have always taken good care of me. I went out there to put on a show, and now it's time to put me back together and see what's next. Thanks for all the love, but I'll probably be off socials for a while. That's really besides the point. The point is the man openly says, I have facial fractures and significant nerve damage 4 months ago. And now you're in a fist fight against the power bar. So maybe he's had some miraculous healing factor like Wolverine or something, bro. But this concerns me going into a fight. And I'm not going to say that it probably swayed the numbers right here. I think the numbers would have been the same regardless. But you got to be a little concerned going into this. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely, Derick, especially for how durable we've seen Dustin Stoltzfus be. Too durable for his own good, like you were saying, man. You go into a fight, you can only eat so many elbows, so many spinning back fists. Like things happen, man, and Stoltzfus, he can take a wallop, but I don't know if it's the best for him going forward, especially how he likes to fight, right? He likes to keep the pressure. He likes to fight on the front foot. He has other ways to get it going, looks to grapple, looks to keep that pressure, but can't always find himself, especially with a strong opponent like Barriault is going to be. This seems like one of those fights where you might have taken more than just 4 months off to actually recoup on this one.
Yeah, man. And with this matchup, they're not doing him any favors, but it makes sense. This matchup makes sense just for where both of these guys are in their career. Now let's talk about strength of schedule. If you're looking at the power bar right here, you got some losses, man. But look at 3 of these losses. Joe Pyfer got knocked out. Chris Curtis, decision. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, submission. Like, those have all aged so well for him. And then wins over Eric Anders and then Julian Marquez, which the Marquez win, that kind of faded into obscurity. But win is a win is a win. Dustin Stoltzfus, his losses, GM3, Gerald Mearschart, Abus Magomedov, and Bruno Fajeda, wins against Dwight Grant and Punahele Soriano, which really only the Soriano win holds up. So now that we have reviewed all of this, what do we know? We know that Marc-Andre Barriault and Stoltzfus are both slow starters, but the difference is Barriault builds and Stoltzfus just depends on if he catches his confidence right here. So game plan for Stoltzfus, what is it, AJ? Find the takedown?
Ooh, yeah, Derick. I mean, find the takedown, work the counter strike with that powerful right hand you have, and keep up the pressure. Because if you let Barriault get into his game, he's going to have a long, long night and be able to last that full 15 minutes. But we've also seen him crumble and not find the moments where he's able to get it going. And that's where Dustin Stoltzfus needs to take advantage.
But that's the thing is Stoltzfus, all his offense is going to be predicated on the threat of him being able to get to that shot, right? Marc-Andre Barriault is a sprawl and brawler if I've ever seen one, man. 6 significant strikes landed per minute with 67% takedown defense. That's what you're looking for a sprawl and brawl fighter. So I'm confident that Barriault's going to be able to keep this one standing. It just depends on, is he going to fall into the trap that Stoltzfus lays out, which is pressure, get you back up against the cage, and then we do a bunch of just cage wrestling, clinch wrestling, stuff like that. Because I truly do believe Stoltzfus needs to find the takedown to win, but I mean, maybe he could hold him up against the cage and just kind of stop him there. That's going to be the play. So minus 210 was the open for the power bar, but he's currently sitting at, AJ, the line hasn't moved, minus 210, it's the same. I don't know if I like the price. I like the fighter to win, but I don't know if I like the price. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, if this was a little bit closer to like a plus 120, minus 150, I'm in it for the price. But 210 for the power bar against a very, very durable Stoltzfus kind of has my eyebrows raised. I'm even looking at these props, Derick. What do you think about that plus 160 decision for the power bar going against a plus 425 against Stoltzfus?
Until I remembered the facial fracture and nerve damage, I was all over it. But then it made me think, can Barriault find himself a finish? 2 knockouts, 1 submission in his 5 UFC victories. That's a pretty high percentage, bro. 3 finishes in 5 fights, like, you gotta like it. It's not a sure lock that this fight's gonna go over to decision, which then brings us to a play that we should probably talk about here. Apologies that I haven't done it yet. AJ, first time that we're bringing it up, man, but let me show you. 2.5 rounds. Minus 135 for the over, plus 105 for the under. What do you like there?
Ooh, I kind of like the under, Derick. I know in the beginning I was saying the unders aren't really hitting, but plus 105 with the power bar, if he's able to get it going with the pressure that Stoltzfus puts on him, it makes sense. Which one do you like? I'm curious.
I'm leaning towards the under, and the only reason that I'm leaning towards it is because if Stoltzfus finds himself in a fire fight, I like Barriault just in a rock'em sock'em robots type of fight right here. But if there's trepidation and they're both tentative and all that, then we can find ourselves in a long drawn out fight, which we would look dumb if we didn't take the over. So that's the betting game. That's what you guys come to this program for. And to give you a definitive pick right here, man, I'm gonna lean the under. Marc-Andre Barriault, Marc-Andre Barriault, just as he is, money line him, you know what I mean? Just leave it alone and take the under if you're really trying to find some juice right there. But I think Barriault's the fair play. If you want to actually put it together in just a solo bet, do it. But as you could see earlier in the show, we parlayed him. So that's the play right there. Throw him in a parlay. Anything else on this one?
Nah, brother.
Fair. All right, to open us up, Mike Malott versus Trevin Giles. All right, AJ, start us off, man. You got some history that we need to break down between these two. What are we talking about?
Back in 2022, right, have a grappling match with these guys, and Mike Malott gets the better of him, man. It seems like he is the new style, right? And what's crazy, both these guys, check me if I'm wrong, Derek, both these guys are the same age, but it seems like Trevin Giles has more miles on his body, has more miles on the brain, and how he's taken his fights, at least his fight style approach, where Mike Malott, man, he's a technician, right? This dude was, like you said, Derek, winning his last fight until he wasn't, but he has all the pressure or all the skills in order to put himself in the right place to be able to win the fights.
Yeah, man, and you're correct. Both 32 years old, man. It's crazy. They're almost clones, bro. 74-inch reach for Giles, 73 inches for Malott. Both 32, 6'1" Malott, 6 foot for Giles. These are clones, right? It's a clone matchup. The only difference is Giles is so much more experienced in the UFC, which is a completely different thing that we're talking about right here. So when you're looking at the UFC comparison, he's 7-6 in his UFC tenure, 3 knockout wins, 3 submissions, 4 decisions, been knocked out 3 times, been submitted 3 times. So the man's been through the ringer, bro. You can't do anything to make up for that experience, because then you have Mike Malott, 3-1, 2 subs, 1 knockout, and I imagine we're going right back to the grappling, baby, to take advantage of that questionable submission defense that Trevin Giles has. Here's the thing, man. We have to talk about psychology before we could talk about anything else, because there is such thing as the undefeated fighter, which he wasn't an undefeated fighter, right? But Malott was on a hot streak, right? There's such thing as the guy who is steamrolling everybody, who runs into the guy who ends up winning or steamrolling him back, which is what he did. After he gassed out, it was a wrap. Neil Magny clearly, handedly got that done. But doing it in your hometown, and now your next fight is again in Canada, you're putting on again, right? There has to be a mental stipulation that says, I need to conserve my energy because I don't want the scariest thing to happen in combat sports, which is gassing out. That is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, because no matter how skilled you are, no matter how bad you want to defend yourself, you can't. There's no more helpless feeling. AJ, how much do you factor that into this, and why is the price so high even with that going into consideration?
I factored into it huge, Derek. That's one of the scariest things and most debilitating things, nonetheless, in front of your homies that are cheering for you. You brought your family to the fight. Now you see them now they see you not necessarily giving up, but not able to put up a defense, right? It's a horrifying thought. Don't ever want it to happen, but he does have that win, right, on Trevin Giles. And yeah, it was wrestling, but again, it goes back to what Mike Malott is best at right here. Get to the ground, get this fight going on wrestling, and just keep that pressure on him and get back to that spot where you're reliving, right, what happened in the last wrestling match where you're dominating, right? This is game mode all day long. So it could be a double-edged sword right here, or 2 sides of the coin, I should say. Yeah, you're worried about fighting and getting knocked out in front of your homies, but also you already have an edge on this guy mentally. We'll see how this one actually unfolds.
Let's not forget that Trevin Giles has gone up and down in weight in the UFC, right? So at his latest stint at 175 pounds, the man is 2-3 in his latest stint, right? So looking to at least crack 500 right here. A couple notable losses. Michael Morales, not a bad loss. Carlos Prates, not a bad loss. Gabriel Bonfim, come on, bro. This dude's down to fight anybody. His wins are against Louis Cosi, which was like that's a cardio type situation, and Preston Parsons, which I thought was a legitimately good victory right here. Biggest wins for Mike Malott thus far? Mickey Gall, maybe, right? You got Mickey Gall, Johan Linesi, Adam Fugit. Adam Fugit's good, but come on, So we're going to need to chalk one down right here for Mike Malott, be a confidence builder. AJ, I don't like the price, but there are some fun subs to play around, or some props to play around with. This was the prop plus 300 submission for Mike Malott when of course, graphics were created and all that. I tracked it live, and it was sitting at plus 250 when I checked last night. I'll take a look here in just a second, but live plus 250 submission prop, Mike Malott, you have to throw something on there, right?
Cash all day long. Absolutely, Derek. That makes the most sense. I'm interested why his TKO prop is actually low or better, or lower, plus 195 to plus 450 for Trevin Giles. I think if there's going to be a knockout coming, it's going to be Trevin Giles stopping the takedown attempts of Mike Malott, get him tired, knock him out, repeat of last time.
Dog, could you imagine? Could you imagine if that happened again? A repeat in Canada? The man would, I don't know. I'd never fight again. I'd be like, that's it. The demons have overcome. All right, man. But I think it's a pretty clear Mike Malott. I just think this, and because we didn't really summarize it, but let's summarize it, right? I just think he's a better fighter. I think he's faster. I think he's stronger. I think he has better striking, better grappling, and he's not younger, but he appears to have more youthful vigor, right? So that in comparison to Trevin Giles, who has something that Mike Malott will never be able to have, and not at this stage of his career, he just has veteranship, and that's an intangible. It's Tom Brady-esque right there. So let's see what Trevin Giles can bring to the table, but Mike Malott is the play. I like the plus 300 sub, plus 250 when I tracked it last, depending on your sports book, and take that to the bank in cash. A consensus pick, baby. Let's go. All right, folks, those were your main card plays, but we still got something that we need to break down, which is, of course, going to be the bonus play. So before we jump into that, I want to give you a very quick reminder. Again, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel. This is a 3,000 plus army, a mafia, whatever you want to call it. AJ, actually, what do you want to call this? This right here is something special, and we're building and we're growing. We want you to be a part of it, especially if you're not subscribed yet. So smash the subscribe button, and AJ, talk to us. What are we calling this thing?
I like the mafia, Derek. Bloody Water Mafia. That sounds great to me, brother. I don't know if there's a word that's bigger for it, but hey, we're starting to be almost a corporatization over here. I know the mafia, y'all like to work in the business, so it seems to make sense.
All right, well, join the Bloody Water Mafia with some bonus plays that we got up next, baby. Let's get it. All right, folks, as you can see, the bonus plays are up. And let me give you a rundown in case you don't catch this on a week-in, week-out basis. AJ is going to be our arbiter of truth and justice and all things good when it comes down to bonus plays. These are a collection of plays. This is your warning, right? These are a collection of plays. They are not guaranteed locks. But what we're going to do is we're going to go one by one, and AJ is going to find the bonus play that we were locking in for UFC Edmonton. And we're going to start off with one, which these bonus plays were made before you submitted your picks and whatnot. So I was like, I can't believe he got me. But you got me. Ariane Lipski, a.k.a. Ariane De Silva, money line, plus 190. Not a parlay. This is just a solo shot right here, but fighting Jasudavicius. Talk to the people. What do you like about the play?
She's the dog, Derek, but I mean, when you put Ariane De Silva, old Lipski, in that position, she seems to find the grit and have the dog in her that be able to drive this fight out, man. And with the speed and the power that she possesses in that division, I see her presenting a lot of problems going forward for Jasudavicius.
Now, on the counter side, Jasudavicius is a favorite for a reason. She's big, she walks forward, and if she gets the takedown, that's her spot, man. We have seen De Silva fall victim to that before. But if she can sprawl and brawl, I think that there's so much money to be made on this play. She's almost the consensus dog of the week across the board for everybody. So that's a play. Now let's move on to the next. AJ, we talked about it earlier. I told you we'd be revisiting it. Derek Lewis to win by TKO at plus 175. This has to be a play. I don't care if you are all in on Diniz. You have to take this into consideration. Where are we at on a hotness scale here?
Oh, absolutely, Derek. On a scale of 1 to 10, brother, this is like an 8.5, almost a 9. This is something, like you said, you need to put some money on, especially at plus 175. Like a comeback for a TKO on Derek Lewis. I don't remember the last time that's happened. Probably hasn't been a while.
And I think that's why it pops out to us, because we see every time Lewis fights and we see what the number tracks at. So to see it at plus 175, against a dude who is a lower level of competition versus what he's faced, something to think about. All right, AJ, forgive me. Folks, forgive me. And if you are the fighters who are watching this, forgive me, because these are like return sleepers right here, but I still don't know how to pronounce the name. But you win a couple more fights and we will not have any questions. But City versus Armfield. AJ, you've covered him as a sleeper before. How do you pronounce the name?
Sirhi City.
If
I remember correctly.
Sirhi City. All right, we're just going to roll with it versus Garrett Armfield. Fight to end inside the distance. Folks, little preview, little, tipping my hat or whatever, tipping my cap for a little bit later. But what do you think? Inside the distance, plus 115.
I like this, Derek. I mean, I know City has like 7 knockouts, something like that. I forget what Garrett Armfield is, but they're both finishers, right? And if I'm not wrong, both coming off of losses. Yeah, Armfield has 6. So there's a lot of finishes that happen. The thing that they've been running into lately is finding competition that's fast and then that draws out the longer fights. So I like where you're at with the inside the distance, especially because both of these guys need to get one back, and they are finishers, at least in previous parts of their career.
That's it. And we're going to talk about it more in a second, so stay tuned. But the last one here, AJ, is going to look like, and forgive me because the Barriault is poorly misspelled here, but the last one right here for Barriault Stoltzfus goes the distance, minus 105, is a contrarian play right here. I just thought, I looked at the numbers, and I'm like, all right, we have a case for under 2.5 rounds, which we just talked about just a few moments ago, but to go the distance, not 2.5 over, I'm talking about to go the full distance, minus 105, I just wanted to know what you thought of the play.
I can see the play, Derek, especially because, let's say it does get to that point, right, where both of them, it's third round, gassed a little bit, not necessarily gassed, but using the gas tank, right? They're sitting there, they're breathing hard. I can see the pace slow down for both of these guys, and not necessarily one's pressuring the other one. Now it's kind of just meeting in the middle, kind of finding how it's going to go. You get up at the cage, you not necessarily take a moment off, but find those moments to be able to recoup. I think that's how this fight actually gets to the distance.
All right, now we got 4 plays, and we need to know, AJ, you are the guy to tell us, what is the official bonus play UFC Edmonton?
Official bonus play, Derek. I'm going with the layup. The Black Beast, Derek Lewis, win by TKO at plus money. You can't not take that.
I can't be mad at it. I'll lock it in as a bonus play, and I'm picking for Diniz, baby. Like, you cannot be mad at the number. Respect it, especially if you're a longtime viewer of the UFC. All right, folks, with that being said, that was your... Oh, let's not go there. I guess we'll go back to the bonus play. That was it for the bonus play. Now, next up is the unknowns of today, the stars of tomorrow. Time to talk about the sleepers, baby. Let's get it.
It's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
All right, AJ, let's go ahead. Let's not mince any words. Talk to the people about the prelim fights. That's the prerequisite here. It has to be a prelim fight, and it has to be a banger. Well, we got both in store for you. AJ, first up, what do we got here?
We're going Jermaine versus Horth, versus Ivana Petrovic, man. This is an interesting fight, opening us up on the main card. So first fight of the night, you know how hot those fights can get. Horth, very practical striking at range, more dangerous on the ground, but needs to have more output to be able to develop her game, right? Then you got her fighting Petrovic in very intentional striking, right? Not a lot of lost movement in there. Very intentional how she does things and hits very, very hard for the 125-pound division. Here's basically what you need to know, folks. Horth has 5 finishes in 7 fights. Petrovic has 6 finishes in 8 fights. Fight can go anywhere, and both of these fighters are ready for that style of fight, right? We might see a washing machine. We might see a slug it out and brawl. Either way, both these girls are down. When they develop, or when they are able to develop and expect these fights going forward, expect these girls to be fighting for championships.
Listen, man, I've been a big, long-time advocate for women's MMA, and for them to appear as the sleepers time and time again on this program. You know there's juice here, folks. Tune in. It's going to be a banger. Let's go. All right, and then I got a sleeper here for you. Again, I told you, a little foreshadowing, but Surrey City versus Garrett Armfield right here. Folks, I'm going to make this one super easy for you. 12 combined finishes between the two, 11 combined first-round finishes between the two, and the fight to go the distance prop is really intriguing on this one. Last time I tracked it, yes to go the distance, minus 145, no, plus 115. We just talked about all the finishes these two have, and if you look at Surrey City, who was coming off of that loss to Ramon Tavares, which was very controversial, a lot of people were kind of up in arms on it, but when you see that, and then you see Garrett Armfield coming off the loss against Brady Highstand, my thought process is, these dudes love probably their job and want to stay in the UFC, come in, come get a finish, and you're guaranteed a lock to be able to have a fruitful career thus far, because this is a fantastic matchup. So this is your sleeper, 135 pounds. We know the bantamweight division, featherweight division, flyweight, it's cracking right now. Go tune in, folks. You know what time it is. All right. Those are your sleepers. And AJ, we're not done. We got a couple news and notes that we need to talk about here, so it's a good way to conclude our program. And let me go ahead and let me just bring up the news and note sheet. And AJ, I got some bad news, dude. There we go. Yeah, I got some bad news. Let me bring it up. AJ, Bully, the 170-pound champion, Belal Muhammad, he is out of his fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov, and he has a nasty bone infection in his foot, which I'm actually not going to show because we've had some YouTube issues here, folks, with some shocking content. So let's use our imagination on this one. But here's the point. I had a theory. I was chatting with my work buddies today, and I had a theory, and I was all like, Bilal Muhammad out of his fight. This is before reading anything. I was like, Bilal Muhammad out of his fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov. They hate Bilal so much, they're gonna give Shavkat an interim title opportunity at 170 pounds, and Bilal just won the title. You know what I mean? Like that's how quick these things go. Well, AJ, there is speculation that a interim title shot is going to come for Shavkat, and the speculation is he might be fighting Kamaru Usman for the interim title shot. Brother, all speculation, but talk to me, man. What the heck is going on here?
Apparently the Bully B is not liked by the UFC, Derek. This one sucks. I actually saw this one earlier today. Rough break for Bully B. You know, we love him over here. We love the style of fighter he is, the humble nature, the willingness to learn. Like, this guy is an absolute gangster out there as well. Like, he can get the fight going. Rough break, brother. Rough break. And folks, we're not going to show it here, but if you want to see some a nasty infection, go check out Twitter. It's blowing up. It's a rough one to see for Bully B.
And to be fair, it is something that you're not going to fight on that. You got a bone infection. This ain't no skin infection. It could be a wrap for you. So, hey, listen, all the good energy to Bilal Muhammad. We'd love to see him back in action. All right, man. Next up, this matters, but it doesn't. But it does. So we're going to talk about it. All right, AJ. New rule effect coming in. UFC Edmonton, 12-6 elbows, and the new definition of a grounded opponent in full effect. Now, first things first. 12-6 elbows. Banned, and look, what a coincidence. I got the John Jones shirt on, so this is almost perfect, right? The 12-6 elbows are nonsense, right? Because they say this is the most dangerous thing, because you would see dudes in karate back in the day breaking bricks with, you know what I mean? Like, doing the whole thing, right? But at the end of the day, what's worse? A shin to your dome, a knee to your dome, or a 12-6 elbow? It's all really the same thing. I think really what you're going to see is more creativity, ground and pound wise, and now one less thing for the fighters to have to be like, oh man, like, oh, okay, I can't do an elbow there, but I can do it like this, but I can't, I think you're going to see more blood, more gore, more cuts, and it's going to be fun, but I don't think it's going to have a major impact to what you're going to see week in and week out in the UFC. What do you think?
I'm absolutely with you, Derek. The phrasing on how and folks, if you need a background on this, Big John McCarthy has a great breakdown of why this was the case, and Derek basically phrased it up perfectly. But if you can dictate that little bit of angle in a fight, it's so minute that it's just up to the judge to be able to call whatever. I like that this one's out.
All right. And then the other one, and I'll bring it back up on the screen just so you can kind of get a visual, right? The fans hate it because fighters will play the game of being a downed opponent. So if I put my hand on the mat, this was the old rules, right? Then I'm a downed opponent and you can't knee me in my head. So I can kind of play the game. Well, you remember when Aljamain Sterling got kneed into oblivion by Petr Yan, and it was just like, it was blatantly foul. Like, that one was blatantly foul, right? But like, don't play the game and you won't get caught. You know what I mean? Now you can't play the game because guess what? If you're right there, if I'm not mistaken, AJ, if you're in the position, which you can see here, I'm going to hover my mouse over it. If you're in this position right here, your feet are grounded, your hand is on the mat, and even if this other hand is on the mat, if your knees are not touching the mat, you can get kneed in your head, you can get kicked in your face, you can get whatever. It doesn't matter, which then decentivizes you from putting yourself in this dumb position. Really, where I see this coming into effect is in front choke type positions, like you just saw right there. If you get somebody in for a front choke, the first thing they're going to try to do is start getting back up to their feet to get out of the front choke. Well, what can you do there? Knees, elbows, kicks, all of the fun stuff that, it's going to just add more creativity to it. But I just like that it removes playing the game. What do you think of this?
I love this, Derek. We were talking about it last week. I was hoping that this was going to be put into effect too, because they let it go with the 12-6, but I didn't know this one was also in the works. This is game changing, right? We're going to see a lot of new techniques, a lot of new styles developed to be able to stay safe, because I'm not a fan of trying to play the game. And then when you do get caught, like we've seen happen a bunch of times, now you're out, or the fight gets going. There's weird stuff that happens. This is fighting. This is what this game is. I love this.
That's it. All right. So that should be it'll be an interesting watch on Saturday. Check it out, folks. All right. 2 last ones, and then we get up out of here, man. This is a interesting one just because I want to know what's going to be the future of the middleweight division. All right. As you can see here, they want to know what's next for DDP, man. This is the quote from him. The whole world wants to see me fight Khamzat Chimaev. The fans ultimately pay to watch the fight, so the fight the world thinks is the best next fight. That's what I want. So I think the Khamzat fight is 100% what I want. The UFC is going to do what they're going to do, but from a fan perspective and from a fighter's perspective, I think Khamzat should get the next shot. That's from Dricus Du Plessis. So clearly, Sean Strickland is like, nah, buddy, I got the rematch. Come on, we're going to go ahead and do this, but It is true. Who has the juice right now? It's not Strickland. It is Khamzat. He has the allure. He has the aura, as the kids say these days. And I want to know, man, what's the best fight? Not the most entertaining fight, but what's the best fight for the division?
Best fight for the division, I'd actually still go Khamzat, Derek. I feel like when he came in, right, it was this huge storm of the Khamzat train. Kind of fell off a little bit, injuries, visa issues, there's those things. Now he can be the champ, right? Now he's a nationwide kind of star going forward. Yeah, the everywhere else loves him so much, but now he could be something in the USA. Like, this makes a lot of sense to me. And as much of as good of a fighter as Sean Strickland is, his talk and his demeanor and his personality get him a lot further in the media. But we've seen how his fights kind of go. Not really much of an excitement factor there, and especially for the division, I think Khamzat is the future.
All right, easy enough. I agree. Yeah, Chimaev, easy. Give him the title fight. Come on, what are we talking about? And then winner, Strickland gets the winner. How about that? Easy enough. All right. Okay, this is the last one. Let's put some respect, man. This is not only going to be just heartfelt right here, but this is the example of what should probably take place. Jermaine Durandamy, excuse me. Got to say it correctly. The Iron Lady is calling it quits, man. And just a quick snippet right here. We're not even going to play it. All love. Go check it out on her Instagram page. But in a nutshell, she's saying, hey, listen, man, I promised myself that I would retire from fighting December 31st, 2024. I wanted to get another fight in. Dana said, Mick said, the books were full. I couldn't hop on. I promised myself that's when I would stop, and I'm calling it quits. I wish I could have got another one in, but sorry, guys, calling it a career. And I cannot do anything but just absolutely respect that, because that's not falling victim to pride and ego. And but I got to just get one more and then it just never stops. And then you tarnish your legacy. She's coming off of a loss in her last career. This is Jermaine Durandamy, man. We were so excited to get her back, but she ends up calling it a career. So all respect to the Iron Lady. She's like 40 years old, dude. So it's about time to go move on to greater pastures, greener pastures, if you will. What are your thoughts on this?
I feel like this is hopefully setting the tone of how things should get going. Because like you said, Derek, only one more. When does that only one more stop? I love the fact that she has, and I'm going to say self-respect, but there's a better word out there, like dignity. Like she's able to put something out there that she says that she wants and stick to it. And nonetheless, how it's going to be received by anybody else. I love this, man, especially for her health, her family, even wealth going forward. She's able to do new moves. All love and respect to the Iron Lady.
If you can't keep your word to yourself, you can't keep your word to anybody, and that's real right there. All right, former champion Jermaine Durandamy. More important, submission victory over the current champ, Juliana Pena, man. You just take that. She's like, all right, well, I already beat the champ, so I'm the champ now. It don't matter. I'm retiring. I call it a day. All right, folks, that is it for our news and notes section right here. Made it to another outro. Quick housekeeping note. There will be no Bloody Water podcast program for the next 2 events. Taking some R&R. Getting back to the winning ways. You know what time it is. But we will always have picks for you. We got you guys covered. The picks will be in the YouTube. We'll drop it on the socials, do all the fun stuff. So stay tuned, stay locked in, and have the bell notification on, because that's how you're going to find out those plays. Unless you want to be too late to the party, don't make money, I, wouldn't be me if I were you. But I'll just leave it at that. AJ, get us out of here as always.
Folks, what's better than watching some fights, cashing some money in, and hanging out with your friends? It's hitting that subscribe button right here. We're going to be making you all that and much, much more here in the future. Like Derek said, we're getting back to our winning ways, folks, and we didn't talk about it, but we got a belt on the line, only 5 fights down, right? It's been a battle this whole year, only 5 fights away from taking another belt from Derek. I'm not letting him get Triple D status. We're going forward for this one, brother.
All right, bro. Let me listen. I'm going to come across that screen, bro. No, I'm just joking. Hey, listen. This is what the competition is all about. Who is going to be Triple D? Yes, of course. Or my man AJ with 2 solid belts. Stay tuned. That's the only way you're going to find out, folks. All right, folks. That's it for us. Until next time. Peace.